But yeah, definitely.
And then we're going to deliver your new Mach-E over here to Bozo Motors on Hollywood Boulevard. That's the closest to your house, and you're going to go pick it up there. But they're going to price it and get it all through. Now, the dealer will make their money, but they're not making any extra money.
And that's because Ford is smart. They can't cut out the dealers for the service. They know they need them, right?
Right.
Some of these other small manufacturers that are doing the direct sales like Tesla and Rivian, they're taking care of all their maintenance themselves, and they're sending cars out individually to people's houses. And that works right now because those cars are small. But they can't do that when they're producing cars at Ford's level, right? And so Ford has to figure that they have to keep the dealers, somewhat happy. And the only way to do that is get the car delivered to the dealer so that, the buyer still has some relationship with their neighborhood Ford dealer.
Yeah, but they also they have the dealer, the dealer agreement. They can't go up against that. But they want to be able to control the dealers somehow. They've got to. It's gotten out of hand, and it's just gotten ugly. And to be able to sell electric cars and a thing like that, I think the brands are going to have to do something like this. But the dealers are just going to complain because it's their cash cow. And you're taking money out of their, grandkids' mouths kind of thing. And that's a shame, but that's just the way it is. And I'd like to find out what people think about that. Folks, what do you think about losing the dealers or buying directly from the manufacturer? What do you think about that?
It's frustrating, though, as a person. I'm going to jump back in and say it's frustrating as a person when you go to a dealer and you work with a salesperson that they don't seem to know much about the cars. They're not selling the car.
No.
And that's very different from 10, 15 years ago when the most knowledgeable person on the lot was the salesperson, and they knew everything about every car. And nowadays it's like, I got to check. And most of the times they check online.
It was 4 years ago it was that way. 3 years ago. Before the pandemic, it wasn't that bad. They knew what they were doing, and it's just all gone down the toilet. And they're just order takers now. They're not salespeople. And I hope it comes back where we have some knowledgeable people. And so the salesmen that have been there for 20 years and 25 years, those are the people that we need, male or female. Those are the ones that make it all work and makes buying a car worth it. They'll say, you don't need to buy this engine. You want to buy this engine for what you're doing. You need that type of direction. You can't buy this stuff online.
Yeah, and when you go to a dealer and you talk to one of those people, they know how to navigate the buying process a lot better.
Right.
And you can tell when you have a sharp salesperson. And sometimes you got to say, hey, the first person I met on the lot is not the person that's going to sell me this car. I got to go talk to someone else in the dealership.
Right. And then you've got to talk to the finance people because they don't really make money on selling you the car. They break even. But what they really make the money at is the finance and insurance. The extended warranty, the glass, a glass breakage insurance, the tire insurance, the
right. But those are so many of the things that people nowadays going to a dealership want to avoid hearing. They just want to know what the bottom line number for their car is, and they want to walk out the door.
Yeah, but then the finance and F&I department gets them, and then all of a sudden that's an extra 2 hours added to it, and then they want to help you with the financing, and their financing costs more, and because they make money off the financing, and so that's how it always works. You know what I mean? It used to be they would try to sell you a paint guard and window tint and side, this and that, special wax, and now it's ceramic coatings and tow packages and oil change packages and service packages, and because that's what they all make money on. I mean, that's what it's, and they make money on the service. They don't make money off the sale, but it's just the way it is. But either way, it was interesting talking to a lot of these folks today. I mean, it was interesting hearing about distracted driving. It's one of my big pet peeves.
Yeah, me too. And you see it so often, and you want to be able to yell at someone, but you can't change them.
You look at them and you're passing them. They're in the left lane. They're going slower than everybody else. You go around them, you look at them, and you want to just look and see what stupid looks like.
you get angry, but you realize that they don't even know you're there. They're in their own world.
They're on their own, on the world, and their world says, has a little picture of them.
Sandrock Concrete specializes in all types of concrete, driveways, sidewalks, basements, and garages. We also do stamp-colored concrete in many different designs. We do interior and exterior stonework, regular brick and block work. Sandrock Concrete is fully insured. Call Jerry Sandrock at 330-506-0013 for an estimate. Also find them on Facebook at Sandrock Concrete LLC. Sandrock Concrete, where you deal with the owner all the time.
I'm getting older. Do I need to worry about falling?
Yes, you do. Each year, 1 in 4 people 65 and older will experience a fall, and many will be serious. The majority of falls happen at home, so remove things that could make you trip and install handrails to keep you steady. To learn more about the steps you can take to help prevent a fall, please talk to your doctor. You can also visit aarpfoundation.org or medicaremadeclear.com/falls. This message was brought to you by United Healthcare and AARP Foundation.
This is Everett Fitzhugh, the radio voice of the NHL Seattle Kraken, and when I want to catch up with Youngstown sports, I tune in to Western Reserve Radio, WRDB, The Scourge.
It costs? Well, it'll cost less by booking on besthotelrates.com. BestHotelRates.com works with all the top hotels in the country while delivering you great hotel and room choices for the best prices. Why wait? Go to BestHotelRates.com, enter your email address, and start shopping for your next hotel room. BestHotelRates.com, it's in the name. BestHotelRates.com.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
The diehards.
Rafael Devers signs the big contract.
Yep.
He's the star. He's the stud.
D, I call him.
Who's the next star? Who's the next star in this Boston rotation?
Well,
lineup.
I hope it's Chris Sale. Or I hope it's. I mean, they got.
Could it be Verdugo, who was the big piece in Mookie Betts? That ship sailed.
Yeah. I think from people that have been
What
down.
about Yoshida?
That just took the game. My people that have been down there, that worked down there, been around the team.
How's he look?
They've been over the moon about this kid.
Does he have superstar qualities? Does he have that?
I don't know what the word superstars in play, but
star.
Yeah, he does. From what I don't know, I'm not saying I know, but guys that I know that that work there that aren't boobs, are saying that the juice is in on Yoshida.
Hey, Brian McDonough running Rock and Roll Control in Houston. That could be a promo. In analysis, they aren't boobs.
Yeah, exactly. It's the key to life. Avoid boobs.
You can't be boobs.
No.
The Diehards, weeknights from 8 to 10 Eastern on the SportsMap Radio Network.
Imagine learning about radio and being mentored by true radio professionals in real radio stations. Well, actually, you don't have to imagine, because there's Radio Connection. Radio Connection gives you the opportunity to learn one-on-one and be mentored by radio pros. Plus, you don't have to worry about getting into a crazy amount of debt with school tuition either. Radio Connection keeps their tuition at much lower costs. To find out more info, visit radioconnection.com.
Wake up calls.
Oh, I love LeVar Ball.
He gave some unsolicited advice to Bronny James. He thinks Bronny should skip college and play international. That's what his son did, and it worked out great for him. So Bronny should do the same thing. He should forego college, skip out on all those millions of dollars he's going to get through NIL.
Right. Go to Australia.
And go to Australia to play for a couple $100,000.
Now, who's in Australia? LeAngelo? Is that who it is? LeAngelo Ball?
Is that maybe?
So there's Lamar.
No, there's Lonzo,
and
LaMelo,
and LeAngelo.
Yeah, I think LeAngelo's
in Australia.
In Australia.
Because LaMelo is in Charlotte. No, in the Bulls. Which one's? God, Lee, I can't keep the Ball family together.
Can't keep your ball straight?
Right, I can't. They're all bunched up and hard to separate.
Wake up call with Tony B and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings from 9 to noon Eastern.
The diehards.
What's the deal with the beware of moose signs every 5 miles? I didn't see a moose.
The moose moved out long ago. They're like, this place is freezing cold. I don't like it.
There's no moose in Maine. It's a hyperbole. It's an exaggeration. There's no moose.
When I saw those bumper stickers, I thought it was a joke. Like, beware of moose. Like, imagine that. Imagine if you saw an animal living outside in this Arctic tundra. I thought it should be like, beware of penguins.
The Diehards, weeknights from 8 to 10 Eastern on the SportsMap Radio Network.
Youngstown, Warren, and Salem's local and national sports talk can be found on TuneIn and the Live 365 app at Western Reserve Radio, WRDB, The Scourge.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
Golf in the Mahoning Valley starts at Mill Creek Golf Course. Mill Creek Golf Course is the host venue for the AJGA PGA Hope Program, 8 high school teams, and 2 collegiate teams. Mill Creek Golf Course is your Callaway certified golf club fitting facility. It was named the PGA of America's National Merchandiser of the Year for a public facility 2022. Book your tee time at 330-740-7112 or online at millcreekmetroparks.org.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
It's time to kick back and listen to the sports page with your host, Pat Lucia, right here on Western Reserve Radio. You can call the show at 330-707-4202 and tell everyone what's on your mind in the wonderful world of sports. Now, here's your host, Pat Lucia.
Saturday morning sports page. Pat Lucia, Dave Clark. Western Reserve Radio is the station you're listening to. We do it from the Gessler Propane Studios in Struthers, Ohio. You call us at 330-707-4202. Get in and talk sports. Do it every Saturday morning here on Western Reserve Radio. Oh, Dave Clark, the NBA playoffs are now kind of coming into shape here. We're going to see how this plays out. All the teams in the West are in. Dallas, we'll get to the Dallas Mavericks because they decided in their infamous wisdom, we don't want to get into the playoffs. We want to go home and play golf, go to the beach. We don't want to play anymore.
Yeah.
So they decided in their infamous wisdom that they had a chance of getting in as the 10th seed. The way it would have mapped out for Dallas was they would have had to win their last 2 games. They played Chicago last night, and they would have had to have Oklahoma City lose. I believe it was to Memphis, they have nothing in the game. Memphis, they're in and they're fine. But Dallas, in their infamous wisdom, decides going into last night's game, we're going to sit 5 players, including Kyrie. Luka Doncic played. He scored 13 points. I don't think he played very much. Dallas actually had a chance of winning the game, was winning the game, and fell apart in the fourth quarter to lose to Chicago 115-112. What does that mean? That means Dallas is out of the playoffs. They were hanging on. They did have a legitimate chance. again, they had to win their last two. Hope Oklahoma City loses, then they would have got in. Dallas would have got in as that 10th spot in the play-in tournament.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to happen. I guess Dallas decided in their infamous wisdom that they really didn't want to get into the playoffs anyway. And they maybe they thought that the 10th seed wasn't really where they wanted to be here. And if they got into the playoffs, they probably wouldn't have advanced anyway, i.e. they waved the white flag here and said, we're finished. We're done for the season.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess fans would be upset.
If you were paying how about if you had season tickets to Dallas thinking, man, okay, I'm psyched. They can maybe we'll get into the playoffs with Kyrie, Luka, catch a little fire. Maybe we can, make a little move in the playoffs. You never know.
Right.
Because playoffs, your record doesn't matter going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
You're in. Everybody starts at 0-0.
Right.
You never know what happens in playoffs. Now, granted, NBA tends to be chalky. Favorites seem to always win. But, again, with Luka and Kyrie, they could put up a lot of points. You never know.
Right.
But to wave the proverbial white flag and almost say, we don't even care. We don't even want to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, but that's why I say something got to be going on. Like we said, I heard them saying Luka's having some other personal problems outside, even before Kyrie came. So I don't know if that's got anything to do with it. Something's going on within, because bottom line, they got an owner that's at almost practically every game.
Right.
He had to sign off on that. There's no way he sat there and say what's going on.
Jason Kidd said, here it is. He goes, Jason, we were fighting for our lives and understanding this is a situation we're in, but the organization has made a decision to change.
Right.
This is what Jason Kidd said. This is on in the ESPN article. So, and this is what Jason Kidd went on to say. So, we have to go by that, and that's something that happens. So the guys that are playing, we go out there and put our best foot forward. And we talked about this afternoon, and the guys that are playing are going to go out and try to play and win. You got to be pros. You can't cheat the game.
Right.
So obviously this didn't come from Jason Kidd.
Mm-hmm. Right. It came from higher up. So
higher up would be, let's face it, Cuban.
Yeah. Right. And you think of Jason Kidd as a player, super competitor at all times. I can't see him just saying, I give up. So, and I'm not saying that's what Cuban, but they must have a plan that they trying to put in place, and that's why they went on and did it. So I'm thinking, Kyrie's not there he can stay there, but it's a possibility that he may be moved on.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So,
Kyrie's a free agent.
Yep.
So Kyrie's got to decide. I guess it's more, I think, who wants Kyrie.
Yeah. Well, they say nobody's interested, but
no, there's
there's
always somebody interested.
Yeah, and even the teams they say it's not, they probably are.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. Too good of a talent to just say forget it. They'll give it a shot. So he has to. I really believe the only place he can go is to the Lakers, and people might say, well, I just think he'll play better if he's playing with LeBron. Not that he don't play good anyway. He still plays good.
He just doesn't play defense.
Yeah, he'll just be more engaged when he plays with him. He is. Because he'll play some D. He's not a great defensive player, but he'll play some when he was in Cleveland. He did. It's just that he's not engaged sometime in that. And it seems like he's more engaged certain times with you look at his whole career, that's just when he really played.
Well, he's up and down.
I'm talking about in Cleveland, he was most consistent playing. I'm talking about even before LeBron.
Right.
Is his young days, and then when he got him with him, he played. He played consistently as well as he can, because they showed the playoffs, and that was where I looked at, can Kyrie play defense? Yeah, because he was watching Steph Curry, and Curry was having some problems at times because of Kyrie's quickness.
Right.
But he was playing and putting forth effort. Now sometimes you just see him go through the motion.
Yeah, now he doesn't. Luka played last night. He played one quarter. He had an injured thigh. He logged 13 minutes, had 13 points. He sat out. Then after that, the sad part is Dallas almost won the game, should have won the game, fell apart in the fourth quarter, rolled into the fourth quarter. I believe they had a 10-point lead and lost the game 115-112. So they're done. Their playoffs are finished. They're through for the season. Make it what you want of this. People are talking about the draft situation. Who knows what's going to happen here with Dallas. Although Cuban has expressed interest of wanting Kyrie back.
Mm-hmm.
So Cuban wants him back, according to what reports were. So the only person I don't think you could tell Jason Kidd didn't agree with this decision, but he had to go with it.
Oh, yeah. Well,
So he was like, okay, these are what my bosses told me to do.
yeah.
I think he just wanted to make sure that everybody knew this was not his idea.
Yeah.
Which I don't blame him.
Yeah.
And then let Mark Cuban deal with the press, because people know it wasn't the GM's idea. Everybody knows it pretty much came from Mark Cuban.
Right.
Because this is a business decision that you don't want to get into the playoffs, i.e., the other thing is that you don't want any more money, because you get into the playoffs, you have a chance to make more money, play more games.
Right.
So you're making a conscious decision as you pretty much don't want to get into the playoffs and not put your best foot forward and best team forward.
Yep. That's it. That's it. You're right.
So they folded up the tent, went home. What does that translate? That basically translates to this is, and the LA Lakers won last night. They beat Phoenix. What does that mean? The LA Lakers are trying to get out of the play-in tournament into the regular tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, the way that maps out is the Lakers sit at the 7th spot. New Orleans is 8th. They both have 42-39. The Clippers are 42-38. Golden State won last night. So now they're 43 and 38. They have the 5th spot. The Clippers will have to win out, and Golden State needs to win one more to solidify their spots. The Lakers are half a game behind the Clippers. So are the New Orleans Pelicans. Very tight there. So bottom line is going to have to be the Clippers do need to win their games, because if they slip up, they could end up. I believe, though, the Clippers have the tiebreaker with the Lakers.
Yes, they do.
So if the Lakers lose a game, they're out of. They're in the play-in tournament, but out of the getting into the, what I want to say, the normal tournament.
Right.
However you want to call it.
Right.
The Clippers would solidify the 6th spot. Right now, Golden State has the 5th spot. They don't have to play in, but that's going to, very interesting matchups are going to be the Phoenix Suns, as of this maps out right now. We'll get to the East. The East is pretty much solidified. The Phoenix Suns would play Golden State in the opening round.
Mm-hmm.
And then the LA Clippers would play Sacramento Kings. And then right now, Denver being the 1 seed, they would play, and Memphis being the 2 seed, they're going to play the 2 teams that survive the play-in tournaments, which right now, the 4 teams in the play-in tournament, as of now, the West is solidified with their 8 teams.
Right.
So since Dallas decided, again, not to play, they eliminated themselves last night with the loss to Chicago. The bottom line is OK City right now is at the 10th spot. Minnesota's at 9. New Orleans is at 8. LA's at 7. Now that could change a little bit, because
they needed that game the other night against the Clippers.
Yeah, they did. That was
that
was a kind of a tough loss, a bad loss for the Lakers, because they're right. They needed that game against the Clippers, and that was a game after a game.
Yeah, back
to back, and evidently the older legs and the older bones of LeBron and AD. LeBron had a tough first half.
Yeah.
The Clippers got that big lead, and then the Lakers tried to make a run at him, and they just didn't have that gas. I had a great second half, but he didn't have enough gas.
Yeah, wasn't enough in the
tank.
Got too far behind, as you said.
That's it. They they got down in that hole. They couldn't get out of that hole. They got behind, and they couldn't get out. They couldn't dig themselves out of the hole that they got in the first
agree.
half.
Yep, I agree.
So we've got that whole. So that'll be interesting. The West has been solidified with their 10 teams.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's just a matter. The season ends Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
All the games that are on around 1 and 3:30. So say 6 o'clock, 6:30, you'll have the makeup of the West as far as the positioning.
And
but
then
the teams
when
are
does the
set.
playing tournament start?
Tuesday.
Tuesday, okay.
Monday is a day off. They all kind of, relax or whatever they have to do. But then come Tuesday, you have playing. Now, the East has already been settled. In fact, if you want to look at the East schedule right now, they already have the Tuesday teams. They're already in it. Atlanta will play Miami on Tuesday, and Chicago will play at Toronto on Wednesday.
Okay.
So the East is set as we know it. So you have and then obviously going back to the East real quick, obviously the Milwaukee Bucks have the number 1 seed, followed by Boston with number 2. Number 3 is the Philadelphia 76ers. The Cavs are sitting at 4. The Knicks sit at 5. And then Brooklyn Nets have the 6th seed. What does this mean? In essence, I just gave you the way the Miami Heat, Atlanta play, Toronto, Chicago. They're in the play-in.
Mm-hmm.
Miami's a 7, Atlanta's 8, Raptors 9, Chicago 10. And then the way that works out is the Miami Heat would play the Hawks. And I don't know why they do, but they just have the 7 and 8 play and 9 and 10 play.
Mm-hmm.
And then whoever wins those series will ultimately play. Milwaukee will play, and Boston will play the 2 teams that survive.
Right, yeah.
And then Milwaukee would play the lower of the seeds, or I guess higher, being at lower seed, and Boston would then play the next seed.
Yeah.
Lowest seed. So then Philadelphia is going to play the Brooklyn Nets, and then the Knicks will play the Cavaliers.
Right.
That's set.
Yeah.
But they don't play until the week after next.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
how
so I
that
get
works out.
Yep.
So next week is our playing games, which are always, I always think that's cool. I always think that's cool to watch. I know some people don't like the playing. I think it's great.
Yeah, well, I think it's something they stumbled on.
Right.
Because of everything that went on.
Because of COVID.
And they said, oh, wait, this worked out pretty. And I do. I think it keeps more teams, cities engaged all the way to the end. You got more people engaged. All the way
look at
through.
Oklahoma City. A rebuilding team, young.
Yep.
Played good. Well, normally they wouldn't be in, but now they're in as a 10th seed.
Yep.
You never know where they're going to go here.
Yep. And they have nights that they take on the best of the best and
and they
problems.
Look, right.
And they have won too. Have beat some of the Now can they beat them in the series? You would think probably not, but
you want to see it.
You say, you want to give them you always want that, as they say, Cinderella. Give them that opportunity.
Well, maybe this is the year of the Cinderella. I mean, look at the NCAA.
Yep.
Maybe this is the year of the NBA.
That would be something. One of these playing teams.
A playing team gets hot, gets into a favorable matchup, and you have an upset.
Mm-hmm.
You could get into that. That's what what fascinates you with the NBA is the fact that you have that play-in. There's teams like Minnesota sits at 9, the Pelicans 8, Lakers 7. But the way it is right now, that can change.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, what could change, the Minnesota Timberwolves, Pelicans, and Lakers could still get into the regular tournament if the Clippers fail, or even if Golden State would fail. This could get interesting. Just you have to wait it out until Sunday.
Do we got some back to back?
6:30.
We got people playing tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah, I think you do. So that could be interesting too. And I think the Clippers are back to back. The LA Clippers, because I believe the LA Clippers, they play at home today at 4:00, and then they play tomorrow at Phoenix at 3:30.
And who they got Phoenix
They
tomorrow?
got Phoenix tomorrow at 3:30, and they have Portland tonight at home at 4.
Okay.
So they play Portland, then they got to at home, and then they got to head out to Phoenix tomorrow and play the Phoenix Suns.
Okay.
So the Clippers are kind of in a tough spot because they've got to win 2. They really have to win 2 games because if the Lakers, who play Utah tomorrow at home, if they win, I think if the Clippers win one of the games, I believe they get in.
Mm-hmm.
But if they lose 2 and the Lakers win, the Lakers would get in. The
Right.
Clippers would fall into the play-in.
Okay.
And that's what they're trying not to do right now, is the Clippers and Golden State are trying to stay out of that play-in tournament.
Yeah.
Especially Golden State. It seemed an older team, they figure like those guys, Thompson, Curry, older, they want to rest. They need that week kind of
Yeah.
So they figure if they get that week off,
they'll be okay.
and they feel like they can win it.
Yeah.
Andrew Wiggins is supposedly now coming back and will be ready for the playoffs. So that's going to make a big difference in the way, potentially with the Warriors having Andrew Wiggins back.
Yeah.
Now he has to get in game shape, but he's still getting him back in the flow.
Right. Yeah, and they want to come full strength. That gives them the opportunity. The chance is there, but that West is loaded.
Yeah, the West
locked and loaded, so it's going to be.
It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
We like to refer to it as the wild, wild West.
Yeah, and it is. It's a lot of teams in there that can do some damage. So it's going to be interesting.
I think it's going to be good. Kind of looking forward to the NBA playoffs this year. For some reason, it seems like watching. I have to admit, the last month I've been kind of watching NBA games now. I'm picking up, the interest. College is there, and I was watching that, but I was starting to watch a lot of the NBA games, the later night games, staying up and watching some of the games just to see what's going on here.
Yep. And if it's standing stay like it is, it will be very interesting to see Golden State against Phoenix.
Yeah, I think that's what, I tell you, the
I
team, it'll be interesting too. The Lakers are, I think, the kind of team you're going to want to watch because once you get them in the playoffs, the only thing that I think a lot of people concerned with the Lakers is the amount of games that they're playing.
Yeah.
On those older bodies, LeBron and Davis, can they, can their bodies stay up?
Playoffs, you're glad because it's not back to back.
No, the playoffs
So
not back to back, and that will help them. And that's what people want to see.
Yeah, it's going to help them.
Because since they made that trade and traded Westbrook, the Lakers redid their team starting with D'Angelo Russell, and the team looks a lot better than when they had Westbrook. So it's like almost a newer team, a new team. And you could see a different team here playing. Again, with the D'Angelo Russell in that trade they made, bringing in the team. They are a kind of team I think can surprise people. With Westbrook, that was just a bad construction of a team.
Yeah. And I mean, he didn't look good at the Clippers, but he's starting to
play good at the
lot
Clippers.
better.
He played really good the other night against the Lakers. I think that was a little revenge thing going on with Westbrook getting back at that team that traded him.
Right.
He looked like it kind of almost like he had something to play for or prove. And he certainly did a nice job in doing so. He played a pretty good game
he did.
that night against the Lakers.
Yeah, he sure did.
So, and I think Westbrook does, you could tell if he has a reason, a chip, he's kind of got that, he plays with that little chip on the shoulder anyway.
Right.
But now he's got a bigger chip.
Yeah.
And
he
I think
plays different.
Yeah, he played a lot different. He looked good.
Yeah, that's
He's
why
making
you almost,
shots.
Yeah, you almost want them playing those type teams because that's where they probably get the best out of them.
Right.
There. So it's like you said, staying up, watch them. Yeah. Started to watch a little bit of NBA.
Yeah,
now I'm ready.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes, geared in. Now I'm ready.
Me too.
It's tournament
I
time
put my
now.
hand up. That's it.
Yep.
That's it. I'm ready now. I'm kind of like.
I watch spotty games here and there, big matchups sometimes during the season, but when it comes to this,
right,
I
this
watch
is
it all
when
now.
I start to watch. I
Those
have
guys
to
play
confess,
hard.
I don't really pay a lot of attention. I mean, I watch the standings a little bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll do that.
I'll watch that. As far as the games, I flip in out, watch
Yeah.
a little bit, but
These
I
big
don't.
marquee games sometimes
Yeah,
they want to show because
right.
everybody's watching.
Right.
So you get some kind of intensity in those games. But just the regular season as they go night by night, you're not getting the full intensity of these guys. It's a long season.
It's a long
It's a grind.
season.
You gotta
82
understand.
games.
Yeah, it's a grind. But man, when they get to this season,
Right.
this is a whole different thing.
This is when the referees swallow the whistles. The game gets more physical,
Real
tends to
edgy.
get more half courtish.
Yeah.
But you can see the players tweak up the intensity.
Yep.
So the game itself, you could feel the difference in the way the game is played.
Yep.
Intensity is increased. Style of play also seems to improve. They set the picks. It's physical. The referees let these guys play. They don't get too whistle happy, and you get a physical game out there. But I think all in all, it's a better game to watch. And again, you have these teams out there and great athletes playing, but really, this is the best part now to me. The NBA season really starts to some degree in the playoffs. I have to admit, and my interest now I'm in. Now I can't wait.
Yep.
The Knicks and the Cavaliers is going to, I'm being a Knick fan obviously all my life. I can't wait for that series to get going. The Knicks and the Cavs. Cavs have home court, so we'll see how the Knicks do. And the Knicks have evolved.
Yeah.
Got some great play out of Emmanuel Quickly, second round pick from Kentucky. Really wasn't. No one really knew who he was, and he's come off the bench and he's played great this year for the Knicks.
Yep.
Amongst Julius Randle is having a great year. So is Barrett.
Yeah.
And then Brunson, who they got from Dallas, has been almost like that was almost the missing piece to the puzzle. They needed a backcourt guy that could score. Well, they got him. And
Right.
Brunson is just lighting it up for the Knicks. So you're a Knicks fan, you almost feel, hey, this is a whole different team than it was last year. Quickly is a year older, and he's just, you could see his game has just evolved. He's gotten, he's getting better. Then with Brunson adding on, and then Randall is just playing lights out. And then Barrett has improved.
Yeah, he's improved a lot.
A lot. So you see in the Knicks and you think, man, these guys, on paper, they look, and they're playing really good.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that series, definitely. The local flavor here.
Yeah.
And the Cavs
fans, a young team.
And I like seeing them, but they playing the Knicks, so I can't.
Well, yeah, I've got to root for the Knicks.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's just how it is.
You gotta,
Right.
We grew up when we saw them win the two championships way back in 1970 and then 73.
Those teams I love.
Right. And they were my favorite teams, Reed, DeBusschere.
One of the best backcourts in NBA history.
Oh, yeah, by far. Earl Monroe and Walt Frazier was 73. Now, 1970, it was Dick Barnett and Walt Frazier.
And I liked him, too.
And Barnett was a great player, too.
Yep. But when I seen the Knicks back then get Earl how did you get him away from the Bullets? I don't know. But I forgot how it went.
They traded Mike Reardon and Dave Stallworth.
Yep. And I used to like Dave Stallworth.
And I like Dave Stallworth a lot.
Yep.
He was the one that had a heart attack and came back from a heart attack and was playing for the New York Knicks.
Yep.
But I believe that was the trade. I know they traded Mike Reardon, and then they traded Dave Stallworth, and I wasn't sure if I'm not sure. Yeah, I think that was it. I think that trade was 1972 or 71. Let's see. Here it is. Yeah, I believe the trade was in 1971. Yeah.
Okay.
They called it, called the Rolls Royce of backcourts. Is that what the article says? But anyway, the Knicks paid the trade. And like I said, I'm just seeing here, but doesn't say, but it was, I remember Reardon was in the trade and Dave Stallworth was in the trade.
Okay. Yep.
And obviously, they went on to win the title in '73 with Earl and Walt Frazier.
Yep.
And the other players, DeBuscher, Reed, Bradley. We'll be back after a quick timeout. Saturday Morning Sports Page.
Hey, let me ask you something. Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? Would you seat them beside a lit fireplace or by the deep end of a pool? One last question. Would you seat your child in a car seat that's not correct for them? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Secure their future. Seat them in the correct car seat. For more information, visit safercar.gov/the right seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all gotta see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
Located in Applewood Estates in Boardman Township, the Applewood Swim and Tennis Club offers a pleasant family environment. Choose a membership that meets your needs and enjoy a relaxing venue that includes not only swimming for the family, but also youth activities such as competitive swimming, tennis, and more. Enjoy the friendly atmosphere all summer long with the staff and members of the Applewood Swim and Tennis Club. For more information, go to applewoodswimandtennis.com or call 330-953-2833.
Let's be real. The odds of a high school athlete getting a college scholarship and making it to the pros are pretty slim. Don't get me wrong. It's okay to dream of becoming a pro athlete, even a famous one. But that's not why I play. My reason why? I love the competition.
My reason why is community.
My reason why is leadership.
My reason why is to challenge myself.
My reason why is love for the game.
And hey, if we don't make it to the pros or onto the cover of Sports Illustrated, that's okay. Because there's every reason to believe we'll excel in something even bigger than sports. We'll excel in life.
There are lots of great reasons to play high school sports. Tell us your reason using the hashtag #MyReasonWhy.
This message presented by the NFHS and the Ohio High School Athletic Association.
Saturday Morning Sports Page, Pat Lucia, Dave Clark back. The owner of the place that we do this show is in the studio badgering us, or we're badgering him. Something like that. That's Bob Gessler. Guess this is the show. Saturday Morning Sports Page, we do it at Gessler Propane Studio. And the owner of this fine establishment, Bob Gessler.
I like that.
We like
Bob,
that.
yeah, I
Makes
like
our
Bob.
day. We don't need a lot to keep us entertained. For the record, the trade that sent Earl Monroe to the New York Knicks was basically the Knicks traded Mike Reardon and Dave Stallworth and an undisclosed amount of cash.
Yeah, I used to be a lot on the docket back in the day. Cash. They still do it sometimes,
Yeah.
but remember back then it's always undisclosed amount of cash.
It said Earl Monroe made a trade request, and when the trade request turned into an ultimatum, he was suspended by the team October 22nd of 1971. He eventually signed a contract immediately after being sent from the Bullets to the New York Knicks for Mike Reardon, Dave Stallworth, and undisclosed amount of cash for 20 days later, November 11th, 1971. So Earl was traded to the Knicks November 11th of 71. And as it pretty much say, the rest was a la history.
History. Yep.
So
Yep.
kind of go back a little bit into archives, but that was, like I said, he was a leader, led the team, 73 title. They beat the Lakers in 5 games. They beat the Lakers in 7 games back in 1970. And the starting 5 was Barnett, Dick Barnett, Walt Frazier, Bill Bradley, Dave DeBusschere, and Willis Reed.
Mm-hmm.
And then really the only change was in 73, there was Earl Monroe, Walt Frazier, Bill Bradley, Busher, Reed, and then Jerry Lucas came in. Jerry Lucas was not on the 1970 team, but he was on the 73 team.
Mm-hmm.
And he also played an intricate part of beating the Lakers too, coming off and helping Willis Reed. So, and Willis Reed, rest in peace, passed, I believe it was a couple weeks ago at the age of 80.
Mm-hmm.
So we lost Willis Reed, and but he was a great captain. He was also a second-round pick out of Grambling. People don't know he was not a first-round pick.
Right. Yep. He used to have quite a few rounds back then, too.
But they had many, many rounds.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Well, I remember, this kind of goes back, is the Knicks had Willis Reed, and ultimately what they did is Reed was their true center. But the Knicks made a trade for Walt Bellamy. I believe it was 67. And that pushed Reed out to the forward position. And what ultimately happened, though, in retrospect, when you look at it, that was maybe the best thing that ever happened to Willis Reed, because then he really developed a great shot for a forward. So you have to remember back then, as we know, it was the NBA was center focused. Centers ran the NBA center has kind of gone by the wayside in this day and age game. But back then, Chamberlain and Russell were the centers, and they were driving pretty much the game to that extent. What happened, though, with Reed is Reed went out, played forward, and then in 68, they traded, it was 68, 69, they traded Bellamy to Detroit with Howard Komice for Dave DeBusschere. Then Reed came back into center. DeBusschere played the forward spot that Reed had, and ultimately Reed was now a center that had a great outside shot. It was very, very hard to guard because he could go out 15, 18 feet and hit a fall-away jumper. And that was driving centers like Russell and Chamberlain crazy because they didn't want to go out that far to try to guard him. Someone had to guard him. And he was bigger than a lot of the players around, like the other forwards in the league. Reed was very wide. And he was just driving other teams crazy because he had such a nice outside shot. And then he obviously could rebound and play defense.
And that would pull those big guys that great rim protectors in Russell and
Chamberlain.
Chamberlain, they great rim protectors. So now you got them away from the basket, which opened up other avenues for the other players.
Frazier, Monroe, other
can
players,
they can do what they have to do inside.
Yep. So watching all those Knick games back then, you could see, like I said, Reed really transformed his game when he ended up going out to play forward a couple years that they had Walt Bellamy, who was their center. And then they made the move and traded Bellamy to Detroit. And Howard Komice, they got Dave DeBusschere. And then they got one of the best rebounders. I guess he was considered a small forward in today's standards, but he was a great rebounder, and he had a great shot too. He could shoot from outside the corner. In fact, there was a game one time where he was practicing his shot from the corner, and Bill Russell, who was doing the games for ABC, went up to him on the court and said, DeBusschere, what are you doing practicing your layups out here? So Russell was always a bit of he had that cackle, Bill Russell, another great player who also has recently passed, but he had that cackle, and he was also kind of a kidder among the guys, the
Right.
team, but a great competitor, one of the greatest competitors ever to play the game. And people do forget that Bill Russell played 13 seasons and had 11 titles in 13 years.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone has ever done that.
No, nobody. No,
No.
And it won't happen.
And it won't ever happen.
Right.
No.
No, not the way that
Not the way this
it's
game is
constructed.
right.
Now it's too hard.
Right. Yeah. Free agency, teams change.
Yeah, it's too much.
It's just the game evolves differently. The players, the Celtics, they were the same team because there's no free agency.
Right.
And you had really had one coach, Fred Auerbach.
Yep.
And maybe I don't even had an assistant for forever.
Yeah, I know.
And then he was able to. The great part with the Celtics is once they got Bill Russell in 1956, they won. He was a rookie. They won the 57 title against St. Louis Hawks. But the point is, then they had a great point guard in Bob Cousy.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was just like after Bob Cousy got older, they had already drafted Casey Jones.
Mm-hmm.
So Jones was coming in, and like Cousy was then retired, and Casey Jones came in to take his spot.
Mm-hmm.
And you had a great 1 point guard, a great point guard to another.
Right.
Then you had a great shooter in Sam Jones,
Mm-hmm.
maybe one of the best pure shooters that people don't even remember who he was or forgot about him.
Right.
Another great player. But you had that team, that Boston team was constructed so well that year in and year out, you had Satch Sanders, the defensive forward from NYU on that team, with Russell, Tommy Heinsohn, and then you had Havlicek coming off the bench.
Right. And that's it, But that back then, 60s, 70s, 80s.
They all played defense, and they all played 82 games.
Yeah.
No load management.
And the thing about it was a game back then, whereas it's still a game today, but it's more of a business.
Oh, totally.
It's a business. So that's why players move around this everything. Oh, we can't have them. That's too much money. Right. So it's more of a business now than back then. It was more considered just a game. They wasn't, like you said, nobody's moving around. Teams be together for 10, 15 years. So that's why I never listened to why did LeBron move around? Why did Kevin Durant move? Why did the guys back in Magic's time and Bird, they would never did it. Well, they didn't have to. Why would you move? Why would Bird say, hey, I'm going to move from this team when you got all of what he got? Why would Magic say, I'm going to leave? I got Kareem, I got Worthy, I got
Cooper.
Yeah, what am I moving for? These teams they wouldn't need to move. Even at Jordan's team, all they did is bring players in that they drafted. And just got better.
They drafted Pippen.
Yeah.
They traded for Rodman. I think they...
Yeah, that later on,
But they had Horace Grant.
Yeah, they had Horace Grant, who left, and then they got Rodman.
And they got Rodman. And
So,
Tony Kukoc, they already added.
They drafted him.
Drafted him.
See, so those teams were constructed by draft, built within. They might have a player here for one trade. That's it.
Yeah, they didn't do free agency back then at all on any level. I mean, when you think of those teams, the construction of the Celtics, I mean, they call it one of the probably worst trades or best trades, depending on your perspective. But when Red Auerbach made that trade they traded Joe Perry. They had Joe Barry Carroll, or they had that draft for Joe Barry Carroll. That's they traded to Golden State for Parrish.
Right. Yep.
And that might have been one of the biggest steals of all time.
Yep.
And again, to this day,
perfect Celtic.
And
He
then,
was.
And then they had Kevin McHale. So they got Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish, like they almost like flipped a switch, and they got both of them.
And you had Cornbread Maxwell
still
there. You had everything. I mean, there's no reason to move around back then. I mean, and then you had less teams. That's a big factor too. So it didn't allow the league to be watered down or anything of that nature.
Right. Yeah, this is what they did. It said here that in 1980, heading into the 1980 draft, the Celtics had lost Dave Cowens to retirement. They had Larry Bird was going to start his second season, the Celtics needed a number one. They had held the number one pick overall. That's when they traded Joe Barry. They traded they had the top overall pick and an additional first round pick to the Warriors for Robert Parrish, and the Warriors first round pick and third overall. And that's where they picked McHale. So they picked up McHale and Parrish in one swap. And then the Warriors took Joe Barry Carroll. It was kind of a bust.
Right.
But that's how Red Auerbach maneuvered that trade. Is he had Bird, but then he turned around and he got Parrish and McHale.
Yep.
With basically one phone call. And then you set the team up for
a great run.
Run in the 80s. And then you obviously had Larry Bird, then they got Dennis Johnson.
Yeah,
and then they
Yeah, because they got Dennis Johnson from Seattle, and that was a great trade to get him. That's just,
I think, I mean, Dennis Johnson
won a championship in Seattle. Him and Gus Williams.
He was on the 79. Dennis Johnson was on the 79 championship.
They beat the Bullets.
They beat the Bullets in 6 games. They lost the year before in 78 to the Bullets in 7 games. And that was Wes Unseld, Elvin Hayes, Mitch Kupchak were on that 78 Bullet. And then they went 78 and 79. It was the same two teams. And this way, Seattle won it.
Yep.
So that's how that went in 7 again. But yeah, Dennis Johnson then ended up with the Celtics. Poor Dennis Johnson, unfortunately, he passed. He had, I believe, a heart attack and he was only 53 years old.
Right.
Died at a very young age, but a great player, DJ. All the years that he had with the Celtics, and then with he started with Seattle, and he was actually with. The way it worked out, he was with the Seattle Supersonics and then Phoenix.
Yeah, I forgot it.
We forgot.
I did forget about that. He did.
He was traded to Phoenix.
Yep, that's right.
And he played from Phoenix 80 to 83. And then in 83, that's when he was traded to the Celtics. And I believe, I was trying to get to that trade that he had with the Celtics, but I don't know if that was the trade for Charlie Scott, because Scott was with the.
He's with Phoenix.
He was Phoenix, and he got traded to Boston.
Yeah,
and and then he was with Phoenix. I have to look it up, but he ended up. Basically, the bottom line is he ends up in a Celtic uniform. Dream come true. And then ultimately, Red Auerbach was always somehow, some way, he was able to get these players. Like, how did he do this? Like, way he built those Celtics team, he was kind of a genius, Red Auerbach.
Yeah. He put together great talent, that's for sure.
And he found ways to pull these trades off.
Yeah.
Like, why would you're thinking in the back of your head, like when he got Parrish and McHale.
Yeah.
I mean, in one trade, he basically had Bird.
McHale was just a great feat.
Because Bird was drafted in 78. And then he went back to Indiana State to play. And then he played there. And before he could, the Celtics had his rights, and then he signed with the Celtics, and then he wasn't in the 79 draft, but he was drafted in 78, but he ultimately played for Indiana State in 78, 79, and then signed with the Celtics after the season.
Right. Yep. Some great things back then.
Yeah, back then.
Yep.
Not to go off on a tangent. But again, I mean, when you look at the NBA, the teams, it changes as far as how the construction of these teams are put together now.
Right.
And you've brought in free agency, and free agency has basically pretty much changed the landscape of the NBA.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's It's everywhere. You know, we go from the NBA to the NFL to even as we said, with the transfer portal to college sports, because you don't get to see sometimes whoever's playing for that particular school, they're long. They either leaving or they just, if they going to the pros, they going as far as basketball, or they going to a different school. So you don't get to see that cohesiveness that you've seen before. Right. So it's all over the place, everywhere. College, pros, doesn't matter.
I stand corrected. The Phoenix Suns traded Rick Roby and draft picks to the Celtics for Dennis Johnson in 1983. So Rick Roby was kind of
he was
not
out of Kentucky,
kind of Kentucky, big center, average.
Yeah,
not supposedly the rumor had it. The Celtics traded Roby away because he was a bad influence on Bird. That, he was always, hey, Larry, let's go out, have beers, let's hang out, let's drink beers, let's have a good time type. Mm-hmm. So rumor had it that was kind of bad influence on Bird. So
they got him out of.
They wanted to get him away, traded him. And and they traded him out to Phoenix, was supposedly the rumor. Now, whether or not that's true, take it for the grain of salt that it would be.
Yeah. And I tend to, I'm going to be honest, I tend to believe a lot more rumors back then than I do today.
Me too.
A lot of stuff was fabricated today. Back then, that stuff was real most of the time. This is the things you hear about what they would do. Yeah, this stuff was not fabricated back in the day.
That's kind of what I think. I don't think it was fabricated either. I think that's kind of funny, but as you could see, the Red Auerbach had a way of drafting and trading and building teams, and did an unbelievable great job and built those Celtic dynasties all those years. So we'll see. Now we have the Celtics. Obviously, this year they're the second seed to the Milwaukee Bucks. Coming back to this day and age, so there'll be see how they and the Bucks are waiting for the play-in tournament,
and then we'll get to it. See where
and then we're going to get to it.
Yeah, I'm ready for it,
and I'm kind of getting psyched for that.
Yep.
We're gonna second hour. We'll get to the NFL because we kind of want to talk about a lot going on there in the NFL. Although we still haven't had any. We're waiting on the Rodgers trade to the Jets. Well, Lazard was working out with Rodgers. They have a video. Those guys are working out together. So it's obviously a given that, Lazard signed with the Jets as that free agent. So Rodgers is already working out with him and getting ready for the season.
and it tells a lot, too. Not that the guy didn't work out. Rodgers, he always have, but to be already trying to get everything down, this is a guy that wants to go ahead and prove something.
Oh yeah,
this could be dangerous for teams in that AFC East.
They were saying exactly that.
A chip might be right on the shoulder.
They were saying that Rodgers was not, why didn't Rodgers do this when he was in Green Bay that he's doing now with the Jets? And that's exactly to your point is people believe Rodgers now wants to prove he's got something to prove.
Yeah.
And so we're going to see a different Aaron Rodgers this year once they have that trade figured out.
I want him to get it done. And another thing, I did hear comments like what you just said. Why didn't he do this when he was at Green Bay? Well, why didn't you ever get him any receivers? Not that they were always able to develop guys second round, third round. It did come to be great players, but there were a lot of first round talents there that they were available. They never would go after anybody.
No.
Top players that turned out to be great players, they never went after him to help him out.
No.
Ever. So
no, they wouldn't draft a receiver in the first round.
And I believe that the Odell Beckham signing is hinged on the Jets, because I believe he would have signed with something. He got offered twice from the Ravens. He's done talked to the Cowboys. He's been there for a workout with the Cowboys. So a lot of teams want to get Odell, but he's holding back. Why? Why is he holding back? I really believe that once that consummation of Aaron Rodgers trade, I think then we'll know if they can fit that. They're gonna get him also.
Yeah, I think they're going to work out.
He'll have weapons all over the place.
They're going to work out a trade for Odell Beckham.
Yeah, I do too.
I wouldn't be surprised if Odell's a Jet.
I mean, because these other teams, I can understand them waiting because not signing with Baltimore, not knowing who's the quarterback going to be. So I get that. But some of the other teams that he's done talked to, it's really, really kind of like the Chiefs. They said he was, they were right there ready to do something. And, the Chiefs are known to do that. Well, you're playing with one of the best quarterbacks ever in Patrick Mahomes and that offensive system. But I think that he's done linked up with Aaron Rodgers, and if that can happen, he might want the old guard to go and do something. Because it's kind of surprising that he hasn't signed. And I just want them to get this. I think a lot of dominoes will fall once that trade is done.
Yeah, I think what you have right now is the word is they're waiting for the draft.
Yeah, and that might has a lot to do with it.
Now that's got a lot to do. People believe that the draft is going to some people believe the Rodgers trade will get done. Aaron Rodgers will get done this week. Others believe that nothing's going to get done until after the draft, and that could be Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Like I said, we'll get with Lamar that second hour and get back with Rodgers and some of the other NFL news that's flying out there too. Some interesting stuff in the NFL. Mm-hmm. But we'll see how that goes. We covered the first hour realistically with really the NBA.
Yeah, we never gave them that much airtime.
And we haven't given them that much time. But we have to admit that because the playoffs are really going to start next week, the season ends this Sunday, April 9th, Easter Sunday, will basically be the last day for NBA. Then the play-in starts Tuesday and will go on all next week. And then ultimately you will start the NBA playoffs.
Right.
I believe they start, the following Monday or Tuesday. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have, and then that's where, again, once they have the 7 and 8 seeds figured out, then you're really going to have it. But you do have at least the East is already figured out. The East is 4 and 5 is the Knicks and the Cavs will be obviously wait a week and play. And then the 76ers and the Brooklyn Nets will play. And then Boston and Milwaukee wait the play-ins.
Gotcha, yeah. Yep.
So that'll be, but the East is set. There's no more waiting around in the East. It's set as is. The West is still up in the air. They do have their 10 team. As we previously mentioned, the 10 teams are set in the West. It's just a matter of the play-in. Those 4 teams in the play-in. Oklahoma City's in the play-in. That's where they're going to be. But the other 3 teams in the play-in could maybe move up.
Yeah, that's true.
And they have to wait for the season to end, play it out, and then Sunday about 6:30 when the season is over, you will have the whole situation in the NBA figured out.
Yep.
For teams.
It's going to be interesting.
So this
2 days definitely will. If you're an NBA fan, you're going to be watching because it's going to change some things.
Yeah, and the West is really potentially going to change. Mm-hmm. The Lakers are trying. I think one of the biggest stories in the West, can the Lakers get out of the play-in tournament and just into the regular NBA playoffs?
They play tonight?
No, I believe
or just tomorrow,
the Lakers played. They play tomorrow.
That's it, I think, right?
Yeah, that's it.
81 games. I thought they had 81 games.
Yeah, they have 81 games already in the books. The Lakers will play tomorrow. That's on TV. ESPN will have that. That's Utah at the Lakers. And then the Clippers are at Portland. The Clippers have to win tonight in Portland. I think if the Clippers win, they would get in.
Yeah.
But if they lose,
And
then they have to win at Phoenix tomorrow. The Clippers could play themselves out of the regular playoffs and into the play-in tournament if they don't watch themselves.
Yeah. Yep. So hinges on tonight.
Hinges on really tonight, because that's their home game is at 4 o'clock today at Portland.
Okay.
Saturday Morning Sports Page, halftime. We'll be back after a quick timeout.
Hi, it's Mark Means, host of By All Means, Tuesdays at 5, right here on Western Reserve Radio, WRDB, The Scourge.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
Sandrock Concrete specializes in all types of concrete, driveways, sidewalks, basements, and garages. We also do stamped colored concrete in many different designs. We do interior and exterior stonework, regular brick and block work. Sandrock Concrete is fully insured. Call Jerry Sandrock at 330-506-0013 for an estimate. Also find them on Facebook at Sandrock Concrete LLC. Sandrock Concrete, where you deal with the owner all the time.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio, take one.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Golf in the Mahoning Valley starts at Mill Creek Golf Course. Come out to the 36 beautiful hole design course by Donald Ross, and golf lessons are available by calling the team shop at 330-740-7112. Don't forget about family fun nights on Friday and Saturday evenings, a family of 4 with cart for only $25. Or visit the Wick Recreation Area and the lighted Par 3 course. Book your tee time today at 330-740-7112 or online at millcreekmetroparks.org.
Saturday Morning Sports Page is back. 330-707-4202. Dave Clark, Pat Lucia. Western Reserve Radio is the station you're listening to. Dave Clark, we were talking a lot. NBA first hour. Most NBA we've talked about in quite a long time. But this is the season to talk about the NBA. The playoffs are now coming up. That's when, let's face it, let's call it for what it is. That's when the interest goes up radically.
Yeah.
Among the viewers, among people. It's the playoffs.
Yeah. And that's what happens. That you hear all of that. I hate the NBA, blah, blah.
No.
When that time comes, there's all you gotta do is look at the ratings.
Yeah, the rating. Bottom line is right. This is the season. This is where the peak you would get interested.
Mm-hmm.
I started getting last month or so. I started to watch these teams and the Clippers, the Lakers, see what it's about.
And when people say that people are not interested in much, isn't it funny how everything keeps escalating financially in the NBA for people not to be interested? Yeah, right.
Wow. Yeah.
It keeps escalating, keep going up.
It'll be interesting to see how this all plays itself out. Kyrie is supposedly, Mark Cuban has come out saying he wants Kyrie to stay there in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Will he pay Kyrie is going to be the $1 million. How much and how long do they, will you pay Kyrie, and Are they going to agree on years and salary? This will be interesting to see where Kyrie ends up next year.
Yeah.
Because he is a free agent.
Mm-hmm. So that's why shows like these can continue to go on and on, because there's no dead moment.
No.
So you got in the summertime, you're looking at free agent movement in the NBA.
Right.
But we're hot and heavy in the NFL. And, you throw a dash of this in there and that. Something going on all year long.
And the NFL likes to, if there's a big moment in another sport, they like to have a big story to override it. They do that too. The NFL does do that. I don't know if they intentionally do it. It seems sometimes, I do wonder.
Well,
why did they wait to announce it now?
All these sports things have great marketing teams. And so I believe maybe some of it is unintentional or unintentional, but I'm going to go with what you said. I lean more to intentional, because they do. They wait, and then they hit you with this stuff.
Yep.
It's like, oh my God, what happened?
Why did they wait now?
You're not, they let you know you're not still in the platform from us.
The NBA draft. We're going to talk a lot about it. It's April. The first date is Thursday, April 27th. Mm-hmm. And then it's Friday, April 28th. And then it's going to be Saturday at 9:00. So that's the 3 days for the NFL draft. What we have obviously now is the situation with Lamar Jackson. Mm-hmm. Rodgers, I think, is going to be in New York, Chet. I think that they're just waiting for some reason to do this. I'm not sure. I think maybe they're going to wait till the draft. I don't know why I think that. But it just seems that Green Bay is probably going to do the deal with the Jets. They don't want the first round pick, which would have been the 13th pick. They'll take, evidently, rumor has it, they'll just take 2 second-rounders, and they'll have something for like the following year if Rodgers ends up playing a second year. What he does in the first year, if he plays the second year, then they'll get another draft pick.
Or something. Yeah,
something.
They're going to work something.
They'll work something out there, but it looks like that deal's going to ultimately get done. It's just a matter of when they want to pull the proverbial plug on it and get it done.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm just waiting for this. I mean, we got is it less than 3 weeks now for the NBA?
Yeah, today's the 8th, and the draft is the 27th. So yeah, that's less than 3 weeks.
Less than 3 weeks. So as it, everything ramps up, like you said, as they get closer to that time. And then, as you said, if things are like quiet on this front a little bit, maybe you get a little bit of NBA noise. Does it be playoff time?
Well, the playoffs will be really heating up.
Yeah. So what would the NFL need to do?
The NBA, the NFL needs to show them that they're still around.
Right.
Like kind of the kid in the classroom who's being ignored. He's going to do something.
Would be Rodgers and Jackson, won't it?
Yeah, that might happen. Mm-hmm. Word with Lamar Jackson. As we talked last week, there was an offer, a 3-year, $133 million contract, guaranteed, fully guaranteed, which I thought was really interesting. He has supposedly rejected that. The interesting part was Joe Banner was on a talk show. I believe he was on with Doug Gottlieb. Very interesting. And he was basically saying that he thinks in this day and age that quarterbacks would be better off signing just the 3-year deals, not the long-term deal. Because sign the 3-year deal, and after that deal is expired, the cap is going to go up significantly. Then you're going to want to sign another 3-year deal, and there'll be more money available because of the cap.
Right.
It hurts the NBA player, but helps the team by signing the long-term deal. Because then you have to, they don't change. Like what he was saying, it was very interesting because he was saying like when they sign like a 6-year deal, they just extend it. They don't rip it up. It was like these contracts are weird, but like Josh Allen signed a 6-year deal, but they don't rip up that 6-year deal.
Mhm.
They'll extend him off the 6-year,
Right.
but they don't like, and they may adjust it a little bit, but at the end of the day, they don't go back and say, okay, we'll tear up that 6-year deal. No, they don't do that.
Right.
So they have that 6-year deal in place. They just kind of extend it and add to it. Where a 3-year deal is up and over, then they got to sign you to a new deal.
Mhm.
And he was just saying that it's to the player's benefit to just sign 3-year deals and get more of a fully guaranteed 3-year deal than these 6-7-year deals with all this money built in and
Yeah.
incentives, because he said the reality is, pretty much people believe that most contracts in the NFL are only 2 or 3-year deals anyway.
Yeah. Well, I would definitely do that for the simple fact it's, you sign a long term, get injured, everything's not guaranteed. So
Right.
now you're out. But if you got 3 years,
Guaranteed.
yeah, guaranteed.
That's it.
And you're good.
You're
as long
good.
as you're healthy at that end and performing well, they're going to re-sign you.
Right.
If
And
they think you went down, don't think that you have performed good and maybe just had a down year. There's going to be another team that say, oh, he's got some little mechanical problems. We'll fix that.
Always.
And we'll get him. They already done seen the success he done had, so they know it's still there because he hasn't used up much. It's only 3 years.
Only 3 years.
And they'll get him. These guys can make more money that way than they can in the long term.
And that's what he basically said.
Maybe you're looking for long-term security, but, when I think about it, well, I guess it's just the way I'm thinking in finances. You give me 3 years, $130-something million. I'm thinking my way. If I just be realistic about things, I'm set for life just on that one deal.
One deal alone.
Now, if you want to be extravagant, buy 20 cars, 5 houses, and this could go pretty fast. But if I be realistic about things and still, approach life just as I've always done, that's cool. I'm good.
Your kids are good.
My kids is good.
Their grandkids are good.
Absolutely, on that one contract.
Yes.
So every time I sign another and another, I mean, we're taking care of family way down the line.
Yeah, it'll be generations of
when
wealth.
they say that, that's because you're spending just craziness. And
Well,
you don't have to, and that's what they do. A lot of them do.
The sad part is with athletes is they don't realize how to handle the money.
Right.
They invest it poorly, high risk investments.
Yep.
Low return, and the risky investments, they lose the money quickly and a lot.
Right.
Kurt Schilling is a prime example of he invested in some kind of a video game thing.
Yeah, and see what happened.
And he lost all his money. And people were even saying, why did you put all of it into it? Can't you put part of it?
Could have, but
why didn't you just invest a quarter of your wealth? If you lose it, okay, you still got 2-3 quarters left, whatever, 4 quarters, whatever. But again, you could take, you saw the outside lines piece about athletes and their money and all they ran at the end of that. It was great piece that ESPN did, 30 for 30 on athletes losing money. But at the end, they showed the list of all the athletes that lost their savings.
Yeah.
And it's just mind boggling the money they lost and the risk, that they just either poor financial advice or poor decisions done by the athlete. Now it gets really strange. That's kind of a tight line you get into because one of the financial guys is on and he said, see, the problem with that is I'm your financial advisor. You come into my office or vice versa. And you come into me and say, hey, I want to put, how much money do I have? And the financial guy says, well, you have 130 million, or you have 20 million or 40 million. And then, you say to the financial guy, well, I want to take 20 million of it. I want to invest it in this. And he's like, oh no, that's not a good investment. And then you go, well, yeah, you don't think it is, but I do. It's my money. I want to invest the way I want my money invested. And yet your financial person is telling you, no, that's not a good investment. You have a high risk of losing it and a low rate of return.
Right.
But this person has talked to a friend of a friend, and they've got this on their mind. They're going to invest it. So the financial guy is saying, look, I'm telling you not to invest your money, but I can't tell you you can't do it because it is your money.
Right.
So then the person takes the money and invests it, they lose it. Then they come back and say, well, it was my financial guy's fault. And he's like, oh, no, I told you don't do that.
Right.
But you did it anyway.
Yep.
That's where the situation with these can get real dicey, is because, you've got a financial guy. If he's a good financial guy, he's either getting you to sign a piece of paper by saying, you're doing this on your own. I'm telling you not to, and you could do it, but I want you to sign a piece of paper. So if it goes south, I don't get blamed.
Yeah. Yep.
But it gets dicey because this is what the financial guy had said. He said, I can't tell the person not to do it because it is their money.
Right.
I can recommend don't do it and I could tell them, if you do it, this is the problems you're going to have because of your risk involved. But at the end of the day, this is your decision. But I just want you to know, I'm recommending you don't do this.
Yeah, because guys do crazy.
But they do, as you watch the 30 for 30 piece, you just shake your head thinking, how did they lose all this money?
Right.
And a lot of it is, unfortunately, a lifestyle, multiple cars, multiple houses, friends, hangers on.
You get all that. And that's,
you got people calling you cousins, relatives you never heard of.
Right.
My kid's in college. He needs money. I need money. Can you send me 10 grand, 20 grand, 100 grand? Put Johnny in college.
All kinds of
you
things.
got,
Well, that's why I was listening to Charles Barkley in the interview. Did you see that? When he said Dr. J actually saved him? Asked him, why you got 6 cars? Can you drive all 6? He said, no. He said, I drive this one. He said, get you one particular car that you need. If you got a second one, but you get your one. But you got all these other vacation houses. There's no vacation. You got to play. He had like 4, when he's a young player, and he's a young player then.
Right.
He had like 4 or 5 vacation houses, 6 cars. And he said immediately he went and did what Dr. J said. Got rid of the vacation houses.
Right.
Went down to 2 cars. And he said it just changed his financial landscape of things.
Right.
He's never had to struggle ever.
No.
But he said he could see he was only like 21, 22 at the time.
Right, in the league. Right.
He said, I don't think I'll be here and doing all the things I'm doing today because I think I would have probably been broke a long time ago.
Right.
It might have been no telling what was going on.
Well,
because he did listen to the veterans. They got all over him. He said him and Moses told him a few things, and Caldwell Jones, and it was like a shock to him, because they was getting on him about it. Because it made no sense.
Well, I think they basically said, I think he also went on to say something to the effect, it's okay, you buy your mother the house.
Yeah.
She always wanted, that's okay.
Yeah.
But that's where it stops. You don't buy like all these other relatives' houses and their kids' college. No. You have your immediate family, you worry about them. Okay, maybe your brother or sister. Okay, but at the end of the day, you help your immediate, but not the outlying relatives and cousins.
Because you get a lot of them then.
Right. You have
family
a lot.
Gets extended.
That
family
quick.
Tree is
because when they see
big.
the money out there and they know what you make. The other thing that the players do, I know they gamble and they make a lot of money.
And he was a big gambler.
And he's a gambler. You lose a lot of money. Jordan's,
another
guy that gambled. Now he's got a lot of money and he makes $40 million a year just off his shoes. I believe they were saying Jordan makes $40 million a year off of his endorsements, his name. But the point is, and granted, I mean, Jordan you read about his gambling, but obviously he's making a lot of money. So he has a lifestyle as long as he's obviously doing quite well. But the point is, some athletes aren't making the Michael Jordan money. And that was the big thing they talk about, is that the athletes need to understand they're never going to, usually most athletes are not going to continue to make the money that they are when they're playing.
Right.
And they drop off. And it's getting the concept of saving for the rainy day.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the money you're making, you need to say, okay, I'm not making that when I retire, I need to have money put away to live off of.
Yeah.
And
agree.
some players feel, and I've heard this, they're saying, well, I was raised poor, so I've got all this money. I want to spend it all because I really want to live life.
Right.
And it's like, but then they have their financial people saying, yeah, but you can't do that because you need to have an idea that you want to have that money to live on, because there's going to come a time when you won't be able to make that money anymore.
Right.
So you need to have something put away. And he goes, that's where a lot of the conflict gets into with the financial is players thinking, I got to live my life. I'm going to spend all the money. And the financial guys are saying, no, 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 you can't do that because you need to be thinking ahead because you're not going to be playing. Your career is short.
Right.
Football, especially,
Mm-hmm.
and basketball, baseball, but you ultimately run. But I think football players seem to have more of the problems financially because their careers are shorter.
Right.
They make a lot of money short term. It gets taxed, but then it just seems that they don't save ahead like they should. Because there was a crazy number years ago, and I forget, I heard this on a radio where I think it was Greg Cosell, one of the ex, said that their money, like if you look at all the players that made over $10 million, some crazy percentage of 70-80% are broke. Like it's just a crazy number. When I don't know if it was he said it, but a financial guy said it. He just used the number. He said that they have a number, NFL players that made over a certain amount of money, most of them are broke, or a large amount of them don't have any money. And it's just, again, it's that mode of I want to spend it and have it. You're like, yeah, but you need to realize your career, especially an NFL player, they have the shortest career, and usually their contracts aren't that good. Because the NFL contracts are probably of you take your three sports, their contracts are probably the worst compared to baseball and basketball.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But their careers are the shorter because it's the injury and the severity of the sport.
Mm-hmm. It's something. So that's why when I hear, people that, I guess I call them fans, but I just think they're not really true fans. You don't play no player that much, Well, you got an opportunity to make it, then you got the opportunity to make it. If you were out there as a businessman and was able to make, or businesswoman, able to make X amount of millions, you're going to do it regardless of what field you're in. So should we say that somebody that's just a businesswoman or businessman can't make that? You don't need it. It's too much for you.
Right.
It's too much. We got to cut it down. No, they're not going to say that. They're going to make as much as they possibly can. So it's the same thing in sports. Maybe you don't think it's worth that, but when you think over what you just said, guys being broke or not having an, or the career severed right away, they may not be able to work a regular type job or play sports. So now what do they do? Now they may have if they do have a degree and everything like that, maybe that degree is in a field that they can't do it because of their injury. Now let's say they had a job they could get on TV, as we've seen. Those things can work out, but that's not everybody.
No, that's not right. And everybody doesn't necessarily have the skill set to do that.
That's right. Absolutely.
So just because they play the sport, that doesn't mean
they automatically.
They're going to be a great broadcaster.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that automatically they're going to be it, and that's not true.
Joe Montana, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Not so good on TV.
And they tried. I can't remember. They tried him for.
Oh, they tried him around. It just
it didn't work.
Didn't work.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Didn't have the, he didn't have that it factor or that the personality for TV. I mean, it's just some people have that skill and some don't.
Right.
That's all it is. It's not necessarily a good thing or bad thing. I'm just saying that some people have that skill to be very good at that.
Yep.
Like John Madden. John Madden was a great football coach, but he was actually I would make the argument John Madden was by far a better football announcer and CBS that he was a football coach. He was don't get me wrong, he was good, very good football coach. He was better doing his gig on TV.
Oh yeah.
And then obviously he had the Madden video, but I would say that John Madden was by far a better.
Well, and I think it much freer.
His personality,
he could be more free in what he's doing.
And he was the type of he was like your neighbor.
Yeah.
John Madden was like talking to your neighbor about a football game. He could do a football game. He was one of the best ever at football.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a good coach, very good coach, but he was one of the greatest
and that's his
TV personalities ever to do football.
Right.
And he had that Thanksgiving turkey and all that, thing with the players and how he bonded with everybody on that level. Like I said, he was by far one of the greatest announcers. Good, very good football coach, won a Super Bowl, but at the end.
Yeah. And that him and, I mean, he's been on with other guys. I think he was with Al Michaels and all that, but him and Pat Summerall
were the best. Yeah, he and Summerall were the best.
That's the key. And, I used to like it before when it was Pat Summerall and Tom Brookshire.
Yeah, they were good. Brookshire and Summerall were very good.
When I seen that go away, I said, oh, you might not have. They just took it to a different level.
And they took it Madden, and you're right.
Yeah,
Madden
way different level.
And Summerall took it a whole different level. But you're right. Brookshire and Pat Summerall were, at the time, I thought one of the best two duos to do it.
Yep.
Color analysts and play-by-play. And then they actually improved on it when they brought in Madden.
Yeah.
And Brookshire was excellent, too. He was very good.
Oh, yeah.
He and Summerall.
CBS team.
Yep, that was the CBS team.
And I think I used to love on NBC was Dick Enberg. I always like Dick Enberg.
Dick Enberg was good.
Oh, wow.
I like Kurt Gowdy.
I like
Dick Enberg.
And the only guy I liked because of I guess it was something about his voice, Charlie Jones.
Charlie Jones is very good. I always liked Charlie Jones.
When I heard him, I knew the Jets or the Buffalo Bills were ready to play. When I heard Charlie Jones.
Charlie Jones.
Yeah. So it was great back in those days. And, now you have your different announcers, but
that, you know what, and maybe this is age, generational, but I'm sorry, these announcers today, they first of all, they don't let the game breathe. Like Collinsworth and Romo, take a pause for the cause, guys.
Yeah.
Let the game breathe a little bit. Herb Street's better on the NFL with Michaels because maybe he feels he doesn't have to overanalyze. He gets in college football. He doesn't shut up. I mean, I don't doubt his knowledge. It's just enough. But he's better with Al Michaels because I think he lets when they're doing that Thursday night game, actually they're at Herb Street's better at that because he lets the game breathe a little bit. And then maybe he has respect for Michaels, so he's taking a little bit of a back.
Well, I just think it's what it is today. I don't think
but it could be. And that's
because listen to older announcers. You remember they used to call it dead air. They would have some of those moments where they just let the game.
And that was the greatest part of those games. Like people said, like the time Vin Scully would do baseball games, there were baseball games like Vin Scully wouldn't say anything for a reason,
right? Because
of the play, and he would let that just, let people see it.
I don't think
absorb that.
I don't think that's a part of. They don't want that.
They don't want that
in TV now. They don't want that.
They don't want it.
Needs you to be talking.
I don't remember, John. I don't remember ever that when I used to listen to Madden and Summerall or Brookshire and Summerall, I never thought to myself, God, these guys they don't shut up. No, I used to love watching and Madden, but they were so good at it, but they didn't overdo it.
Yeah, but I just think they started to push that because I even see it at times, even when Michaels was let me see, was he with Collinsworth or who else he was with?
Yeah, I think he might
on Monday Night Football before that. But you can see that the way they do things is a lot different than a long time ago.
This is the problem I have. Okay. There was a game, Saturday night game, this past year, Jacksonville and the Chargers. Okay. The two guys doing the game were Dungy and Al Michaels. After that game, people were just taking them over the coals because they said they lacked enthusiasm. I watched the game. I thought it was great. Dungy, I like Tony Dungy. He tells you that, he's pointing out, but he's not, jabbering away. Al Michaels doing the play-by-play. Dungy has got that he's a good guy. I like him, laid back, but he's giving you good insight, but he's not suffocating you.
Yeah,
I thought
that's not it for the.
But you're
today.
right. They
Not-
got criticized because they lack enthusiasm. But I thought, no, I mean, Dungy didn't like jabber away. He's professional. He's sane. He's making great observations. Michaels is calling the game. I thought they did a great job.
Yeah.
But, everybody was on Tony Dungy and Michaels because they lacked enthusiasm.
Yeah, but that's what it is. It's just that, I'm used to it now because I've always been pretty good at tuning things out. If I don't want to hear it, I won't.
Well, I turn the sound down.
Yeah, I don't
too.
even have to do. I could just tune you. I don't even hear you.
I do. Yeah, I just turn the sound down. Anyway, Saturday morning sports page. Pat Lucia, Dave Clark coming back on the fourth quarter of the show on Western Reserve Radio.
Golf in the Mahoning Valley starts at Mill Creek Golf Course. Mill Creek Golf Course is the host venue for the AJGA PGA Hope Program, 8 high school teams, and 2 collegiate teams. Mill Creek Golf Course is your Callaway certified golf club fitting facility. It was named the PGA of America's National Merchandiser of the Year for a public facility 2022. Book your tee time at 330-740-7112 or online at millcreekmetroparks.org.
Located in Applewood Estates in Boardman Township, the Applewood Swim and Tennis Club offers a pleasant family environment. Choose a membership that meets your needs and enjoy a relaxing venue that includes not only swimming for the family, but also youth activities such as competitive swimming, tennis, and more. Enjoy the friendly atmosphere all summer long with the staff and members of the Applewood Swim and Tennis Club. For more information, go to applewoodswimandtennis.com or call 330-953-2833.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
The game is over, but this time, instead of asking how many goals did you score or what were your stats, try asking these questions. Were you a good teammate? Were you coachable? Did you give 100%? And did you have fun? Because those are the values that school sports instill in Ohio's young people, where winning and losing are secondary to the life lessons that will stay with kids long after their playing days are over. This is the Ohio High School Athletic Association. Educate through sports.
Saturday morning sports page, 330-707-4202. Get in and talk sports. Every Saturday morning here, Western Reserve Radio at the Gessler Propane Studios. We do the show into the fourth quarter of the show. Talked a lot about the broadcasting. Keith Jackson was the other name.
Right.
We listened to growing up. Great guy. Great announcer. A Hall of Famer, one of the best. You could list the great ones that just stand out years ago. I remember when they had this thing, this was in the mid 70s. Keith Jackson was do the game, and then they would bring in a college football coach to do the color.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought in Bear Bryant. And Bear Bryant, he has got that Southern, like the drawl.
Yeah.
Couldn't understand what he was like mumbling. I couldn't understand what he was saying.
They had to get him out of there.
Yeah. The one that I thought was very, very good and did the game was Woody Hayes. Because Woody knew the game, but then, he figured it out. But I thought he did a few times he did it, and I thought Woody Hayes was excellent. Mm-hmm. Sad Woody could have gone that direction. Unfortunately, with the situation, the punching the player and the Clemson, I think, did him in, and that was very sad. but I think Woody would have done good, but I don't think he really wanted to do that.
Yeah.
But he could have done that because he was very knowledgeable and he knew the game. The other guy that I thought college basketball that was good was Bobby Knight when he did some of the color for ESPN. He knew the game.
Yeah.
And he could, you could tell that he was a great coach, but he also analyzed, but he was good on TV.
Right.
And I used to enjoy listening to Bobby Knight when he was doing that. So there are sometimes some of your good coaches. I still like Tony Dungy. There's some people that don't, but I still like Tony Dungy when he did the game with.
Yeah. Well, it is.
But it is
back, and
it goes back. It's a generational thing. I was just relieved because I thought Dungy did a great job. He and Al Michaels, two old guys doing the game, our age group. But I thought Tony did a great job because he just, he let the game breathe. He made great observations and moved on. And I could watch the game and not feel like where I had to turn the sound down.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
Like I never turned the sound down. A Monday Night Football was when they had Dandy Don, Gifford, and Cosell was maybe one of the greatest productions of all time because those guys were absolutely comical. But I never thought they overanalyzed the game either. But they were, Meredith said what he did. Howard and Meredith kind of went back and forth. Frank was kind of the
middleman,
the middle guy, kind of,
keep everything balanced.
He was balancing the act there.
Right.
But I thought it was done excellently, and those guys played off one another, which I thought was
That's
great.
How it worked.
And that's how it worked. But they, even Howard was funny because he knew he had a role and he played it well. And Meredith did what he had to do. And then Meredith and Kurt Gowdy were doing NFL games for a while after it was, I think, after he got off a Monday night, he was doing NBC games. And I thought he and Kurt Gowdy did a great job too. I always liked Don Meredith. I thought he was one of the best guys in the business too. He was funny. He didn't take it too seriously.
Right.
He had some good comments to make, like the guy he was limping off the field. He goes, I think he's got a hitch in the get along. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But again, it's maybe, as to your point, Dave, it's a different era.
Oh, it's different era.
And
they know they paying these guys.
And these guys are getting it.
You better get to talk.
And here's the point. I'll never watch a football game based on who's doing the game.
Yeah, I never looked at when they say whoever's playing, the Bengals, and the Chiefs are playing. I don't look up who's announcing the game.
No,
I'm just watching it.
Right.
Who's announcing?
I don't care who it is. They could have a local guy doing. I don't care.
It doesn't make any difference. I'm gonna watch it.
I'm watching that game.
Yep. So,
So sliding back, we know we kind of walked. The Lamar Jackson had the $133 million deal. That's what kind of opened up the door to money and players and how they lose money and how some of them are broke. But Lamar was offered that 3-year deal, 133. Joe Banner was on yesterday talking to Gottlieb, and he was saying that players it would be to the players' benefit to sign shorter 3-year deals because after the 3 years, the cap goes up. So there's more money available, which makes sense. So, and he even said, he haven't commented on the Lamar Jackson deal. He goes, if you take the deal, it was the 3-year deal. If you take the money and compare it to the other money, it was a 3-year deal, 133. When you take that money and compare it to the other players, it's a little low, but it's in line.
Right.
He could maybe negotiate for more money, like make it like maybe get 144, 150, 3 years guaranteed, but he said that what they offered him was not a bad offer. He was like saying he probably should think about taking it fully guaranteed money. And then in 3 years, I believe Lamar will be 29. He could sign another 3-year deal.
Yeah, easily.
At his age.
Because he's 25?
I believe he is either 25 or I think he's 25 or 26.
Yep. So why not?
So the question is, if Lamar Jackson signs that deal now at his age, which he is 26 years old, if he signs the deal today, he turns 27 in January of next year. The point is, this year coming up, he's 26. He signs a 3-year deal right now, fully guaranteed. In 3 more years, he can be eligible for another 3-year deal. And by then, the teams will have more money under the cap available. So he will get more money as long as he's obviously playing and playing well. I mean, that's a lot of this, but he even said, to your point, and you brought up a good point, they're saying, and then if he's hurt, sometimes those long-term deals don't pan out.
Right.
So, Joe Banner was just saying it's going to be to his advantage to take a 3-year deal. And he goes, I think all quarterbacks should sign 3-year deals.
Yeah.
And get the fully guaranteed all up front.
All the way.
Like Burrow and Justin Herbert, all these guys that are all coming up for deals.
Yeah. It's not saying you're not going to stay with the team.
No,
just a smart business. It's all about business anyway.
Well, that's all this is.
Right. So why not do the best business deal for you than maybe what your agent is saying? Because he may make a bigger run or something, even though they can't get anything past, 3%?
Yeah, agents only get a cap of 3%.
So, I mean, he'll make that money in a short run nice too, So, I mean, I don't understand why you wouldn't push that. 3 years is perfect. 3-year window
take a
allows
3-year average quarterback makes 40, 45 million, 50 million. It's going up. It's ticking up closer to 50. A 3-year deal at 133, negotiate, take 140, 145. Point is, you're pushing up to close to 50 mil a year. All right, you're getting, say, 45 million. Sign a 3-year deal, pays you 45 million, whatever the 3-year deal. Yes, okay. So you take that, and in 3 more years, there's going to be more money available under the cap for quarterbacks, and hopefully you're healthy and ready to play your games better. Now you're eligible for another 3-year deal. Go after another 3-year deal, fully guaranteed.
Deshaun Watson got $230 million, right?
Right.
For 5 years.
5 years.
Okay. So let's take the 2 3-year deals.
Right.
If I got 3 years for $133 million now, and I play great, let's say I play great. Now it's time to renew it. And I'm going to stay here, and you want me to stay here.
Right.
Salary cap has went up.
Going up.
He's not getting another 3-year 133.
No.
He's outplayed this contract or was right there. That 133 might be 150, 160.
Maybe 160
over 3 years.
Over 3 years.
That's 290, almost $300 million in 6 years instead of taking a 5-year
230. Right.
You're making a lot more money.
Exactly. You're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
It's kind of what Banner was saying to your point is
you're
you're better off taking the 3-year deal, get the guaranteed all of it, and then you're young enough, go to another 3-year deal, you play great, and you're a quote free agent.
Right.
Now all of a sudden you're out there on the market, teams want you, and now you get another 3-year deal. That 3-year deal will probably be over 160, maybe 170, because quarterbacks are going to be getting that much more money. But that was his point. The point is, then you can sign another 3-year deal, fully guaranteed, more money. And if you take 6 years compared to what Deshaun Watson, you're actually ahead of the game by signing just 2 3-year deals instead of one deal, even fully guaranteed at 230.
Right.
So it would work out to your advantage to sign 2 3-year deals.
Especially, as he said, the quarterback position.
The quarterback
has a
position
tendency to be a long time.
Evolves, now, unfortunately, running backs don't. The problem with running backs, after 3 or 4 years, they're done, and teams don't really want to pay them, and ultimately they just draft players. But the quarterback position, different animal.
Yeah. Yep.
Now they're talk about potentially in this year's draft that the Indianapolis Colts sit at number 4.
Right.
There is a chance. Speculation is that the Indianapolis Colts will ultimately, if they don't get their quarterback they want, will they pick up the phone and make a move to get Lamar Jackson?
It makes me wonder, who is the quarterback they want? Because, I mean, if Young and Stroud are gone, is it Levis? Is it Richardson? Who else we got? I mean,
Well, they're the four. Well, the one that's kind of starting to get people's attention is Hendon Hooker.
right. But he may not be ready for the season. May not. So
Right, because he's coming off the ACL.
yeah. So are you going to do that right away? That
No, you see, Hendon
I-
Hooker will be a guy you go, but a year. That's your question. The Colts have to ask the question is, bottom line is, do they draft or do they trade? Or do they take, because Hooker and, Stroud and Young are gone.
Right. That's why I think I'm leaning towards them making that trade.
Yep. Let's hit the phones. You're on the sports page. What's up?
Good morning, Pat. Good morning, Dave. How you guys doing?
Hey, Irish
Good,
Mike,
how
what's
you
up, man?
I'm doing well. Hey, I want to ask you guys both a question. What took Major League Baseball so long to come up with great rules? I mean, these rules are awesome. It makes the game move.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
It's so good. Guys, it really is. I mean,
The pitch clock is a godsend.
yes.
It really is.
Yeah.
I made a joke, Dave, about 5 or 6 years ago. One of my buddies is a big baseball guy, and I think it was one of those nights where the Red Sox played the Yankees in Yankee Stadium on Sunday Night Baseball that started at 8:05.
Right.
And I jokingly said, before I go to bed at 10:30, I'll check in to see what the score is in the fourth inning at 10:30.
No,
because the games last like 4 hours.
Oh, yeah,
those
no.
games are 4 hours.
And I'm gonna tell you one, and this is not trying to be funny. I was watching the game. I'll never forget it. At the time, they were the Indians, but they were playing Boston also, and it was like in the eighth inning. And it was a tight game. I think it was 4-4, something like that. Guy was pitching, and he was taking so long. I said, "Let me go in here and get my sandwich done, and give me something to drink and get back." I said, "I'll probably make it before." And I was just joking. I'll make it back before he throws the next pitch. And when I came back, he had not pitched yet.
I believe
They had come and talked to him at the mound. My brother told me, he said he probably scratched 10 to 20 times, waiting, doing things, looking around. It was all kind of stuff before he ever got the pitch off. And I could not believe in that. I said, "They didn't throw one pitch." He said, no. They had a delay. They had all kind of things was going on, because then the batter got irritated with him stepping off the mound. And then they're going to talk to him. Now he wanted time, and that's just dragged the game on. So it's hard for me to watch.
Oh, it's brutal.
You know, I then stopped watching regular season.
It's cut a half hour off the game.
Yeah.
At
But
least.
now that's what everybody's talking about, is how much more pleasant it is to watch the games now.
Because they're getting over in 2 hours, and some games are you've been running about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Maybe 2 hours, 45 minutes. They said the average game was 3 hours, 15 minutes to 3.5, and now it's 2:45 to 2.5. It's like 2.5 to 2:45. And then some games are actually a little less than that.
Yeah.
The average game is running about 2.5 to 2:45.
That's great.
Unbelievable.
Because what you just said was absolutely happening sometime. Almost 4-hour games were happening.
Yeah.
And that's unacceptable. Seriously.
Yankees Red Sox, the Sunday night game started at 8, would get down like right around midnight. Or
Yeah, it was
10
4
all
hours. The
scores.
Yankees,
It was ridiculous.
the Yankees and Red Sox games would
I
go.
tell the thing, and I'm being serious, guys. My dad grew up playing baseball. My dad passed away 25 years ago. And when he passed away 25 years ago, he hated baseball. Said it took too long.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's from an old timer. I mean, that's from an old guy. That's
Right.
not from one of these cell phone people that everything we want things right now.
Right.
No, that's right. I mean, that was that's the late 90s, but yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Because
So
he
100%
played,
correct.
right.
And it's made the game so much more pleasurable. They get the ball and they pitch it. And one of my friends said, well, he doesn't mind the pitch clock for when there's nobody on 15 seconds, but he thinks 20 seconds when there's a guy on base is a little bit too short. He thinks it should be 25. And I think maybe your semantics there. I get it, but it's up for these pitchers to adjust. I'm sorry. It's up for the batters to adjust.
That's right. And and that's what I mean. It just makes them move. You have to realize they have to go up. Both the pitcher and the batter go up, and they realize they have to focus now on getting this done in 20 seconds every pitch.
Yeah.
The batter realizes he can't step the heck out. The pitcher knows he can't step off the mound, adjust the hat, whatever the batter can't adjust the glove. You don't have time. You got to get in and hit, and you're going to get the ball pitched. You got to either hit it, whatever. But the point is, again, it's made the game the way years ago that we grew up with,
watching.
60s and the 70s and 80s when the game moved.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid growing up, going down to games at Yankee Stadium, talking mid 60s. Those games ran. We would go to a doubleheader. They played doubleheaders on Sundays back then, and the whole doubleheader ran together 2 games, 4.5 to 5 hours tops. And that was like 2.5 hours, and that was with the time in between the games, the break.
Yeah.
And and I remember we would go home, be down there at 1 o'clock for the game, the doubleheader, and we would drive back 6 o'clock at home. But I mean, that was back then when those guys they pitched, and batters stepped, no one stepped out, and pitchers were throwing the ball, man. And again, now you've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can only throw, I think, each batter, you can only throw to first base twice, and then you can't
Right.
throw over anymore, which is great. I mean, it's just, if there's, when you think of pro sports guys, what pro athletes are the biggest prima donnas? Baseball players and professional golfers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They're all set in their ways. It's the way we do things. Come on. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
No doubt.
No one cares the way you do things. Let's go.
No, that was the best thing that they've done. And it's so far, the games are just playing so much faster. And it's funny, like they have a what was it? They were showing with baseball, and they were showing the time frame and just like the difference between, the 3.5 or 3 hours to 2.5 hours. And that on ESPN has the Sunday night game starts at 7. It's over by 9:30.
Yeah.
I mean, remember it was at 8
awesome,
o'clock.
right? That's awesome.
Remember that ESPN had the game at 8 o'clock and people were complaining because it wasn't getting over before 11:30. It was on too late. So the ESPN decided, okay, let's start the game at 7 on a Sunday. So it'll get over by 10:30, 11, 3.5, 4 hours. Now that game that starts at 7 is over at 9:30, maybe 10 at the latest.
Yeah.
That's unheard of.
Yeah. But a great thing.
But it's great. Because you could sit and watch a game and they move the game.
Yep.
Like I think they started this about 4 or 5 years ago. The Guardians, their weekday games in April, May, and then September, not the summertime, because June, July, August, kids are out of school and there's different circumstances, stays later longer. But they've been starting their weekday games at 6:10 instead of 7:10. Now, people say it's hard to get the games because people get off work 5:30, and the traffic coming out of downtown and going back home is a little bit congested because people are getting out of work. But when a game gets done now at 8:30, 8:45, people can be home by 10:30 and still be able to, by starting earlier, that helps families out too. Get to bed a little bit, get home a little bit early, and get to bed a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
and
they only do, like I said, they only do that, guys, in April, May, and then September. They don't. June, July, and August, they started 7:10 instead of 6:10. But I think that's another thing that they looked at and said, how can we help the fan? Make more appealing to the fan.
Well, and I think that's the other thing too, and now I guess they were saying that they're having trouble with the TV timeouts because the TV runs those commercials, so they got to get back quicker because the games they're already pitching, they're already going like. They're not screwing around as much. So they were saying that the TV timeouts, they now have to figure it out because if they're doing it during an active inning, they don't really have time to break away.
Yeah.
So
Lucia missed a foul ball in the Yankee game. Oh, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Missed a foul ball.
I know. Exactly. You're going to miss a foul ball in the game. So, well, no, it was like I said, that's made that's made it a lot better, no doubt about it.
Yes.
I was looking at the Masters. I was trying to figure out. I know they had weather yesterday. They're supposed to have bad weather there today. We haven't really talked about it, but I know I was wondering did Tiger Woods make the cut?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did. Tiger Woods he made it right at the cut line, +3, and that was the cut line, +3.
So he did make it.
So Tiger made the cut.
Okay.
Wow.
So you'll have but
did
you know what?
Get through the second round yesterday? Did all the golfers make it through the second round yesterday, or did some people got to finish the second round this morning?
They finished. They had to finish it this morning. Tiger Woods finished it this morning. A lot of the guys finished it. Freddie Couples is the oldest golfer ever to make the cut at the Masters. He's 63 years old.
Wow.
And so Fred Couples made the cut and he is the oldest player ever to do that. So
awesome.
They finished,
Good for
evidently,
him.
they finished the second round. Tiger did hang in and make the cut.
Oh, wow.
Even though he's limping around the golf course with that leg, I don't know how many. Well, even he questions whether or not how many more Masters he can play.
Yeah, it's probably it.
I might be it. I don't know.
And I think, obviously, guys, tomorrow the NBA regular season ends.
Right.
And I think the play-in tournament games start when, Tuesday or Wednesday? Is that how
Tuesday.
that works?
Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Yeah, you're going to get the NBA. The NBA will start their play-in games on this Tuesday. They actually have the East is already set.
Correct.
The West is where they're kind of still waiting for those. All the teams are in. The 10 teams are in. It's just the play-in tournament is still up in the air because those teams are kind of on top of one another. So they're going to have to wait till Wednesday. But as of now, the matchup on Tuesday already is Atlanta at Miami, and then the Wednesday matchup is Chicago at Toronto.
Okay.
And those.
And then the norm when they start playing like is the first round best of 5 when they start playing like 1 versus 8?
No, I think they're all 7. I think.
Okay, best of 7.
I think
when will that start,
yeah.
Pat? Well, that's like the Cavaliers will be the 4th seed. Do they start next Saturday or next Sunday?
I would think that's when. Yeah, they're going to start one of those days, and they're going to play the Knicks, and they're going to be best of 7.
Now, will Julius Randle be available? I know he's been out a couple.
I don't know. I know he's hurt. I don't know if that's a good question. I don't know if Randall's going to be ready. I would think they would.
If Julius Randle's 100%, I could see that series going 7 games very easily.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. No, I think that could be really a great series.
I agree.
I think that.
But if he's not healthy, I could see the Cavs winning in 5 too.
Right.
I mean, he averages 23, 24 points a game, so he's a really good player.
No, Randall has been really played. It just said here, I think they're going to reevaluate him and see if he could be ready for the playoffs.
Okay.
He suffered a sprained ankle in Wednesday win over the Heat and will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. So I'm not sure whether or not the question is going to be, if you're the Knicks fans, can he be ready for the playoffs, or is he going to miss a game or two? You're right.
They
If
didn't care he missed like last 6 or 7 regular season games. Nobody cares about that.
No, but the question is, will he be ready? That's going to be your $1 million question in that series is, can Randall get ready for the Cavaliers series? Because you're right. If Randall's playing, that could be a 7-game series going down to, the last basket, last possession of the last game.
Yep.
I think that could be a real nip and tuck series with those teams going at it. Cavaliers youth and the Knicks got the veterans, but
I think that's a good matchup. I hope everybody is healthy enough to play, and I think it's going to be a good series.
Because that may be, that of all the first round matchups, that'll be interesting. And the other, anything, whoever the Lakers, if the Lakers are in the playoff now, if they stay in the playoff and they get out of that NBA playoff series, the play-in tournament, and then whoever they play is going to be an interesting. If they end up playing a Memphis, or they end up playing Denver.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
That's going to be a great series.
Yeah, either way, yep.
Because anytime you have LeBron James and Davis in a playoff.
Yeah, and with a day's rest. They had that rest in between. That's always good for them.
Dave, I saw some playoff odds probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and they had the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Los Angeles Lakers at the same odds that won the 2023 NBA championship as of like 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
Yeah. And it goes to tell you, I've been arguing with my friends, the NBA regular season means very little. Might as well just get in the playoffs and make sure they're healthy.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's it. Yeah, that's what it's, even the interest level.
Yep.
I mean, we've said, no one, we don't really watch the regular season, kind of remotely look in it now and then and look at the standings.
Yep.
But I don't really sit and watch a game of any circumstance. No. But the last couple weeks, this last month, I've been a little bit more attentive and seeing where these teams
and
are.
If Julius Reynolds misses 8, 10, 12 games at the end
Right.
of November, beginning of December, Knicks fans don't care.
No.
Now,
Right.
he just got hurt at the wrong time now
Right.
when it matters the most.
That's a
Because
bad
people are
time,
gonna remember
right.
The playoffs 2, 3, 4 years from now, 10
Yep.
years from now.
Yep.
That's a tough time to sprain your ankle.
Yep. That's for sure.
No doubt about it. No, like I said, it's going to be it's going to be really a good playoffs this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Phoenix Suns over the Milwaukee Bucks to win the championship.
Right. Thanks, Irish Mike.
All right. I like that.
That's it. That's a good prediction.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll wait next week, see who we think.
Yep.
Saturday morning sports. Happy Easter, everybody. Stay safe. Do not drink and do not drive. Get a designated driver. Buckle up. Take care.
You're listening to WRDB, Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, Warren, Salem, and around the world.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?